I call it your money operating system. And so like the operating system of the computer dictates how the hardware interacts with the software. And so it's a really great metaphor for your money belief, your money mindset.
You're listening to Overwhelmed Working Woman, the podcast that helps you be more calm and more productive by doing less. I'm your host, Michelle Gauthier, a former overwhelmed working woman and current life coach. On this show, we unpack the stress and pressure that today's working woman experiences. And in each episode, you'll get a strategy to bring more calm, ease, and relaxation to your life. Hi, friend. Thanks so much for joining today. Today's episode is such a great reminder that knowing what to do with money isn't always enough. I'm talking with guest Hilary Hendershott, who owns a wealth management firm and is a money mindset expert, who went from advising millionaires on what to do with their money to not being able to afford gas in her own BMW. Her story is super honest, a little jaw-dropping, and totally inspiring. So when you listen today, you'll start to understand how early beliefs about money shape your behavior as an adult, even if you're good with money, and the most common subconscious money operating systems and how to support yours, and then what to do when you feel overwhelmed just thinking about your finances. I know we've talked about money before on the podcast, and I think it's such an important thing for us to continue to talk about because it can be a big contributor to overwhelm. So we talk about guilt and people pleasing and how women are often conditioned to play small with money. Let's jump into the episode and welcome Hilary. Hilary, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
Yes, I'm so glad to have you. So I always want to know first, tell us about you. What is your backstory and how did you get to be this person who's now doing TED Talks and is seen as not only a financial advisor, but an expert on finances?
Yeah. I had a very regular up and coming path line to being a financial advisor. I fell in love with economics in school. My father was a financial advisor my whole life. I tried a couple things in my early 20s, but pretty soon I went to work for my dad. He very much wanted me to be his business continuation plan. As an economics student, I was the ultimate pragmatist. I was like, everything should work out. If you just work hard, you'll do the best kind of mindset. And then I found myself in a situation, money burned a hole in my pocket. And it got to the point where I was coming home from a day full of advising multimillionaires on how to build investment portfolios to a stack of bills on my kitchen counter that I didn't open because I couldn't pay them. I didn't have the money to pay them, right? And it got so bad that one day I pulled my leased BMW convertible into the gas station and my credit cards were maxed out and my bank account was empty. So I couldn't even buy gas. So I left the BMW at the gas station. I walked home and I had a chat with myself on the way home. And I said, obviously, very clearly, I can see at this age that if I continue without a violent interruption of my current pattern, that my future is going to be filled with more different and worse versions of this outcome. Like I'm going to continue to have financial emergencies. I'm going to continue to have bad credit, no savings. People are going to have to rescue me, right? And I said, obviously, whatever world I'm functioning in about my own personal finances, it doesn't work. My behavior doesn't work. So I look at my friends and colleagues next to me, and they might make the same amount of money as I do, but they're saving money. They have good credit. They're paying cash for cars, right? And I said, what's giving me my behavior is my psychology. So it's obviously not my love for economics that's going to save the day. I'm going to have to become a student of money psychology. And I started attending conferences. I got really humble. I told people in my life what was actually happening in my world. I remember I attended this lecture and I heard the term overspender for the first time. And I'd never heard that term before, but I knew when I heard it that I was one.
Right. You identified immediately as
Right.
an overspender.
Ding, ding, ding. And now I've heard and said the word so many times. It's funny to say that I knew that day I'd never heard it before. And, I got transparent with my father was my boss. So I told him the dire situation of my finances and I got into right relationship with wealth. I right-sized my spending by force. It was a belt cinching in the beginning, right? And it took some time, and the beginning parts were painful. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I had to have that BMW towed back to the credit union that owed it. It was a lease. Like I said, it was leased. And I walked in and I handed her the keys and I said, "Here, this isn't mine anymore." And, the look on this woman's face was like, she said, "I've never had anyone do this before." So, well, I wasn't going to wait for it to be repossessed. So here you go.
Yeah.
I did a deal in lieu of foreclosure on a condo. I had one of those mortgages where I made the minimum payment every month and the balance went up on a monthly basis. So by
Mhm.
the time I let go of the condo, the mortgage amount was, close to the actual fair market value of the condo, but it had gone from 420. It was worth 420,000, and then in the real estate crisis, it got down to 190. So I
Oh,
had $420,000 in debt on a condo that was worth less than 200. So I cleared the debts, I negotiated with all those debtors, and fast forward a few years, I started to get really focused on how can I impact my earnings? Because look, I'm making 65K a year now. That's all fine and good. And I'm doing everything the right way. I haven't spent money in a restaurant or spent money in a coffee shop for years. And I did that for a long time. But how can I impact my earnings? Because that's the big lever point. And when things started to really change for me around my earnings, and, I went from 65K to 150K to 250K to well beyond that at this point, and the numbers started to look very different. I said to myself, I have acquired a skill set and a mindset that people on this planet need. Like, we all know people suffer about money, right? So at that point, I decided to integrate my economics and my certified financial planner designation with my deep compassion and understanding about money mindset and money beliefs, and launched my podcast. And it's been off to the races. I now own the company. We're a team of 10 people, 9 women. The firm is designed by women for women. And earlier this year, I actually hired my husband. He's a PhD in finance, so we now have a chief investment officer. So it's been fun. It's been fun and
he's
well
the one
received.
exception. He's the one guy who's allowed in the company, huh?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
great.
and
That's really
it's
funny.
not. We're I love dudes, but we're by women for women.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing against them, but well, I think a couple things before I go on and ask you some more questions. That was great. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I think it is so common. So if anyone is listening who is overwhelmed by their finances or just the amount of things they even have to think about to try to get their financial picture together, that it's totally normal. And your example of a stack of bills that you didn't even want to open is some that like things of that nature are what I hear all the time from my clients where they just don't wanna open the door to that basement that's full of stuff, or they just don't wanna open those bills because they know what's in there. So I think that's gonna resonate with a lot of listeners. I also think that you sharing that you had to even though you intellectually knew, like, if someone else would have said, "Hey, here's my salary. What should I do with it?" You probably could have said, "Do this, invest here, do all these things." So you intellectually knew how to manage money, but there was something that was stopping you from actually doing it in your own life. And that's so powerful, I think, to share that story. So what did you as you worked through that, what did you find as those money beliefs or your thoughts about money? What was it that was driving you to act in a different way than what you intellectually knew how to do?
Oh, that is a really good question. And the answer is we don't often look at things this way as human beings, but once you see it, you can't not see it. So, money is really in reality is a blank canvas. It is a white wall. Money has no true nature and it's conceptual. Really, all money is an agreement that you can exchange later for something of value, right? Like, and only reason money continues to work is because we all abide by it. And we simplify it. Like, I have a credit card right here. Like this is money, or like a dollar bill is money, but those are not money. Money is the agreement we all live in as humans. And kids can't understand it. So we adults got bad money relationships from our parents because they got bad money relationships from their parents, and we unknowingly pass them down to our kids. My mother actually has a pretty functional relationship with money, but she was earning an average income and just saving a lot of it. She was really being responsible. And so for me, there was nothing left to do the things I wanted to do. For example, I was on the high school basketball team and I wanted everyone on the team had Nike high tops. I wanted Nike high tops. And my mom took me to Payless Shoe Source and I got Pro Wings. Do you
Uh-huh.
remember? Okay.
Yes. I
Okay,
too was a Payless shopper.
yeah, this was embarrassing for me. I
Yeah.
called the I because I wanted them to be Nikes, I called them Likey, but I made up that there's never enough money, and that was true for me. There's never enough money. So then counterintuitively, when you believe there's never enough money, if someone pays you $100, what do you have to do with that $100? You have to spend it. You have to
Yep.
spend it, and in my case, I would spend 110. Now there's other people who get 100 and spend 200, right? But but either way, it's bad because otherwise there becomes enough money. If you get paid $100 and $100 and $100, pretty soon there's $1,000 in your bank account, and your mindset that there's never enough money starts to go, it gets painful, right? And so that I think that's where that saying money burns a hole in her pocket comes from. But that's what it felt like. Every time money came in, I already had it spent. Somehow, magically, I would get paid $100. I owed someone 105 over here. I mean, every
Yeah.
time. It was infuriating.
Yes, yes, but I think that's such a good and perfect example of what we believe or what we're thinking becomes the truth. So if deep down you were thinking, probably unconsciously, there's never enough money, the universe makes it so that there's never enough money. You don't have the
Correct.
capacity to have and to
Correct.
believe that there's always enough money and all those things.
And you
And
just naturally accept limitations, right? Because you
yeah,
think they're for you. That's right. I
yeah.
fit in that really small box, right?
Yes, yes.
And you don't, negotiate for more or try to get bigger or better. And I see that all over my past.
Yes, yes, and I'm sure you see it a lot in your clients as well. For me personally, it was interesting when I started my own business because I had a corporate job before this where I made great money and thought to myself, okay, it's possible for me to make that much money on my own. But it was funny because I had a belief that I couldn't make a lot of money without it being really hard and kind of suffering. Like I would have to work a ton of hours and I would have to do work that I didn't really enjoy. And so I had to work on the belief that I could do a job that I really enjoy and that I really wanted to do and also make money. So I feel like
Mm.
no matter how far you come, there's always like a new ceiling that we have to believe past before we can get past it.
Isn't it pervasive? There's
Yes.
that saying, new level, new devil.
Yes, yes, exactly. And right when you think I nailed it, I got this, I could totally do this, there's some kind of new
It's
ceiling.
never homeostasis. I know.
No, no, for sure. Do you know Jen Sincero, who wrote that book, You're a Badass at Making Money? So she
I
says
see it
in
on your desk behind
Oh,
you.
yes, yes, that's one of her books. I love her. But one of the things she says in her money book is that by age 7, we have been basically programmed for our money beliefs by our parents. So maybe what you got from your mom was like, you have to save more than you spend, and it's never okay to spend on something that's expensive or, whatever that was. And so I just thought that was such an eye opener for me that we all grow up with these money beliefs and we haven't even investigated them because they're just subconscious. We just get programmed when we're kids from our parents and then we get kind of go along that way. So just wanted to say that because I think that's such
Yeah.
an interesting fact.
For with my mom, and God bless her, I've mentioned her on probably 1,000 podcast interviews now. She never wanted her financial life to be made public, but
Right.
she really did well, right? And the thing for me is that the savings wasn't real. I didn't see it. It wasn't
Yeah.
anything to me. And I didn't have as a high school basketball player, I didn't have a sense of what life's going to be like when my mom turns 65, how much money she needs to retire, right? So one of the things I do to combat that, like, for example, I show my daughter the restaurant bill, and then we talk about how many hours she would have to work at $5 an hour to pay for that dinner bill,
Yeah.
right? I just want her to see it. When our stock accounts are up, I pull her in front of the computer. I'm not sure that's the right thing. I'll let you know when she turns out, but
Right. Right.
it's kind of how
I'm
I've
d
tried to answer that
Yes.
question.
Yes, I'm doing the same thing with my kids as well, and it is funny. My son, he's 17 now, but he got his first job last year, and he worked, and he was making $13 an hour, so I helped him figure out, what that was gonna be. Of course, he didn't know about taxes, and he was like, "What? Where does it go? What does that go to?" It's such a bummer when you first realize, like, "Oh, so this isn't all mine." So tell us what you would recommend for people finding out what are their money blocks and then how they can try to change them?
Your money, well, I call it your money operating system. And so, like, the operating system of the computer dictates how the hardware interacts with the software. And so, it's a really great metaphor for your money belief, your money mindset. Money mindset is sort of a vague term. Specifically, I'm talking about this very, and I'm going to use the word childish. It's elementary, it's simple, it's something a child would believe because you did decide it when you were a kid. And it is the way money is for you. It's the water you swim in, it's the air you breathe. Listen to the things you say about money. It's obvious to me in hindsight that what was true for me, both in my mind and in my bank accounts at that time, is there is never enough money, right? It's
Mhm.
very simple, very clear. And then just the sort of devious behaviors that I was doing to continue to perpetuate that, where the aha moment was like, "Oh my god, look at the things I've been doing." Some of the most common money operating systems are: there's never enough money.
Mhm.
Conversely, there's always enough money. Now, these people have to worry also because there's always enough money as a childish belief doesn't always verify that there is enough money, right?
Yes.
I had a woman one time call me. She said, "I just retired. I have $250,000." I said, "Call your boss back and beg for your job because,
Yeah.
you know,
That's
uh,
not enough.
that's kind of how I picture there's always enough money. Also, the sort of common tropes that we hear about money. Money is the root of all evil. This
Mhm.
is a very destructive, painful money operating system because these folks can't even come to the table and have like a shoulder to shoulder egalitarian conversation or constructive conversation about money, right? Because even wanting money is bad. And, you're the only one in the world who's committed to filling your bank accounts, I promise you. So if you can't even be transparent that you do want to have a prosperous financial life, you're very limited until you unravel that particular belief. There is a absolution of responsibility, but of course, said like a child, if I'm good, daddy will handle it for me.
Oh
And
gosh.
yeah. And sometimes it's the universe or sometimes it's God, right? But these folks really struggle because they have virtuous behavior paired with financial success, and the money just doesn't work that way. I mean, yes, you have to have integrity to have your money and keep it around, but right, money requires earning, spending, saving, you know.
Yes.
So, and then there's the one that's very common out in the world is money gives me power. And these are the people who pay for the dinner bill. They're the ones who drive the red sports car. They wear the flashy clothes, maybe when they don't have the bank account balance to kind of justify it. I had this, so that I had two of them. When I was little, my parents got divorced. My father said to me, "I don't want to pay the child support because I don't want your mother to have that kind of power over me." And I said, "Oh, money is power." So how that translated was in my world, I would take you out and I was trying to buy your affection. I wanted you to like me. So I would pay for drinks, pay for dinner, whatever, pay for the vacation with money that I didn't have, trying to convince you that I was a worthwhile person who was already successful. There's that saying, spending money on people you don't like to prove. Anyway, spending money you don't have to buy friends you don't even like, something like that.
That's great. I haven't heard that before. That's so good though. If anybody's out there doing that right now,
Oh, there are people doing
stop.
it, I
Yeah.
promise you. So those are really the 5 most common ones I hear about. Really take an inventory, like spend a week and write down all the things you say about money, all the things you think to yourself about money. Mostly we don't, especially if you're female, we don't talk much about money. We talk about sales,
Yeah.
right? Or maybe we talk about like I'm saving in my 401k, but we don't talk about how much we're earning. We don't talk about how we feel about money. And so if right now the only person you talk to about money is yourself, you have to write down your thoughts. And I find that those kinds of thought diaries and conversation logs can be absolutely illuminating when it comes to isolating your money operating system.
I think that's great. That's such a good idea. So, if somebody is listening and they're like, "Ooh, that one cut me deep. That's me. I'm definitely doing that." And they're thinking, "I already have a million things to do and I'm overwhelmed. What am I supposed to do with this?" What would you suggest that people do? I heard your first step was is to write down and just get curious about how you're thinking about money, what your operating system might be saying at a very kid basic type level. What else can they do?
Yeah. So, in life, we can either live with an intimate relationship with what's so, like reality, or we can live in story, right? And as long as you're in an empowered story, more power to you. Go live in your story that you're the greatest person, you're the best mom. I love that for you. Wonderful. If your money story isn't working for you, it is time to get closer to reality, right? Because sometimes the money story just creates drama and disempowerment and no money. So add to your money conversation log your money log. Take stock of your income, your current savings level. Where are those savings? What counts are they in? Maybe some of you haven't even opened the portals in years, right? That's not uncommon. How much debt do you have? What are the credit cards that you have? What's the interest rate you're paying on those credit cards? Just this activity alone will be transformational, right? And as long as you keep moving the needle, I mean, look, when I was $570,000 in debt, including the mortgage, I had a 440 credit score or something and a $65,000 a year income. It seemed impossible. But I pointed my rudder in the right direction and started to have exponential leaps forward, right? Because I kept my mindset pressed on how can I move the lever for myself. So just know it can happen, but definitely take stock of exactly what you have. Your focus needs to be on increasing your net worth every day or every week or at least every year, right? Rather than whatever your focus has been on in the past. And if it helps you to articulate what you've actually been focused on, which I was focused on buying friends so that people would love me,
Mhm.
pretending that I was already successful rather than getting successful. If it helps you to admit that, great. It helped me. And then you can get yourself pointed in the right direction.
Yes, yes. I just feel like in general, you're saying just open the closet and let the monsters come out. Like, see what you're doing, see where all your balances are, see where you have debt. And then just facing that is probably the biggest step to just admit, okay, there's a problem here. Here's what it
Well,
is.
I don't know if it's the biggest step, like maybe tripling your income would be a bigger step, but it's always a necessary but not sufficient condition for financial success. So
Yes.
if clarity ever goes out, just go get clarity again.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. Okay, one more question for you. Something we talk about a lot on this podcast is people pleasing and how women are really conditioned most of the time to put others ahead of themselves or to do things in order to make others happy. And your experience with yourself and maybe your clients who are women, which I'm assuming most of your clients are women, do you see people pleasing showing up in people's financial lives?
At this, it started about 90% women. At this point, my practice is more like 60% women because we get a lot of cool dudes who just really want to hang out with us. Definitely, I've led conversation circles with women about money, and this is almost always what comes up is the pain of the internalized gender roles. And that also includes often, almost always, the idea of pleasing or being easy, being not wanting
Mhm.
more than you have. Be quiet, don't speak up, don't ask for more, be easily pleased. Just put a smile on your face, sister
Yes.
girl,
Mhm.
right? And oh God, it's a mindset and a practice that I find myself wanting wanting us to shed ourselves of, shed, shed ourselves of. I mean, and I say that I can't even say that with enough intensity, but the thing is, we perpetrate it on ourselves. If you think about it, you've either been the woman, and I have, to criticize another woman, or you sat in a circle of women who've been criticizing a woman outside that circle for wanting more, dressing better, asking for the promotion, asking for a divorce, whatever it is. And so, I see us as women also sometimes perpetrating patriarchy on ourselves. It's an insidious problem, and it really is on us to say enough is enough, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
time for this mindset has come and gone.
That's absolutely right. I just think the whole concept of you don't have to be easy and laid back and willing to take whatever your
Don't.
pay is anymore. I don't think we ever did, but maybe we just didn't have the words for it. But the reason why it seems like women do that, at least I know for sure I did, was in order to be seen as easy to get along with and nice and everybody likes me. And so I don't need to ask for that extra thing or I don't need to want more money. And I think just giving ourselves permission to do what we want just because you want to, it's okay to take up space.
It's okay to take up space. It's okay to want more. It's okay to want to be big. It's okay to want to make a difference or have an influence or work full time and pay a nanny to take care of your kids some of the times. It's
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Exactly. We don't even have to feel guilty about it. We can feel like we're in alignment when we're doing all that. It's magic.
It's
Oh
magic.
my gosh. Okay, I have 2 more questions for you that I ask everybody who's a guest on the podcast. The first one is, what is something that you do when you feel overwhelmed to make yourself feel better?
Oh, well, first of all, I give myself permission to lay down. Okay. I mean, most of us work from home at this point,
Yes, yes.
but I'm in a place in life where I have chosen in my late 40s for the first time to choose peace in my soul over being a workaholic. And
Amazing.
it's not quite natural yet. I have to remind myself, I'm like, oh, the breathing is shallow. I think it's time to lay down. And sometimes it takes 10 minutes or 20 minutes to really like get back into that soft belly breathing. And, I mean, I have a heart rate monitor, so I know what heart rate I'm targeting, like the mid 70s, I'm cool with. So that's something. And then I use that brain dump, what I call the
Yep.
conversation log. I
Mhm.
just pull out a piece of paper and I start writing, or I pull up a Google document and I start typing. And if it's a persistent complaint, I type it over and over and over until it magically sounds like gibberish to me. And if it's overwhelm at all the things I have to do, I just type them all up and I make sure they're all documented somewhere until I can, wrap my arms around the task list. Now you're the expert. How did I do?
Amazing. Perfect.
Okay.
Absolutely perfect. I think the key is know yourself. What makes you feel overwhelmed and then what makes you feel better? And it sounds like you've got that down. I love that suggestion that you just gave, though, that I haven't heard that one before to just keep writing down your complaints until it sounds like gibberish. Like just keep reading it until you're like, okay, this is silly. I'm just going to move on and do something else. I also think 100% of the time, things in our head feel worse than things on a piece of paper. So anytime you can just get it from your brain to a piece of paper, I feel like you're guaranteed to feel better.
Yeah.
Okay. And then next, what is something that you do to save time or to do less?
I have decided in my life to have a high income so that I can pay people to do things like errands and cleaning and repair work and things like that. So I know that sounds simplistic, but it's
Actually, it sounds kind of profound because a lot of people, just the way that you said it too, like I have chosen to have a high income so that I can have the money to hire people to do this. I think being able to say that and feel nothing about it except for that's a fact and that's my life is really a big deal because I know lots of people who would feel guilty for even wanting that. And then, well, I could hire someone, but I really could do it myself. So I really think that's profound just to say, these are the choices that I have made, and this is how I spend my money.
yeah. Yeah, and it's a choice that informs so many behaviors and conversations and specifics, right? Because there's a lot that goes into that, having a boundary about how low I'll allow my paycheck to go. And of course, as a business owner, I do have some more input than, I don't have to ask a superior for a raise, right? I have to go earn it. And the other thing, there's just a lot I don't do. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot I just don't
That's
do.
another great answer. You just cross things off your list and just don't do them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the ladies here in the resort, in my neighborhood, I live in a gated neighborhood, they play pickleball, and my chiropractor said, "Oh, pickleball keeps me in business," right? The injuries are so expensive,
Oh
and
gosh.
they keep inviting me out to play pickleball, and I was considering, am I gonna take the time to be really good at pickleball? Because 'Cause I'm competitive, and I finally just decided, you know what? I'm just not gonna play pickleball. I'm I'm just not gonna go I'm not gonna do it. If you're gonna meet me out, it's gonna be for a drink or a meal, but it won't
Yes.
play for pickleball because I don't wanna end up in the chiropractor's office injured, and I don't have time.
Yes, yes, exactly. I love that. One of the things I talk about is having a to don't list. So on your to don't list
Yeah,
is pickleball. Then you know if anybody ever asks you, you're like, oh, let me check my nope, it's on my to don't list. I
yep,
don't do that one for
I'm
sure.
not doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if people want to know more about you, I know first tell us about your podcast and then any other places they can go if they want to learn more about money, their thoughts on money, what some of their backstories might be.
Yeah. My podcast, if you have room in your podcast lineup, is called Love Your Money. And it's a kind of a play on words because we talk about what it would take for your money to write you a love note, signed love, comma, your money. But also it's about being in a reciprocal relationship with your money, right? Like really building trust and rapport with your money. And so that's fun. We'd love to have you subscribe there. And then everything I'm doing on the web, you can find at hendershottwealth.com. And Hendershott has no C and two T's.
Okay, we'll put that in the show notes.
As a result of all this financial growth that I've done, I really developed a soft spot for working with women. Many of my clients are widows. Many of my clients are executives who never got married. My firm is, like I said, by women for women, and yet we don't sacrifice anything in terms of investment performance or the quality of the service. And it's been so well received. It's very fulfilling work for my team and I. And we work for women and couples. And if you're potentially looking for a financial planner to partner with, we'd love to have you visit us and fill out a contact to get on our schedule.
Okay, awesome. And is that at the same website?
It is at hendershottwealth.com
Okay.
/contact.
Okay, perfect. Great. Thank you so much. It was so nice to meet you. Thank you for listening to the Overwhelmed Working Woman podcast. If you want to learn more about my work, head over to my website at michellegothier.com. See you next week.